Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking, and welcome back to Tang Airline Flight 1990. Let's clock in. I would like to welcome all the Platinum Premier Plus members for joining us on this exciting episode. And today, we are checking out Windy City at night. Look at the beautiful city right here in front of us. Really hope you guys enjoyed the series so far and learned a thing or two about Chicago. Soldier Field. It is the second smallest stadium in NFL with a capacity of 61,500. Just to put that in perspective, when we were at New York, we checked out the MetLife Stadium. The MetLife Stadium has a capacity of 82,500. So this one here is 20,000 less than MetLife. It was renovated in 2003. It added an additional seating, as you can see here. A lot of concerts was held here. The Bears, there's been talking that the Bear might be moving to Arlington Heights, what makes it the new stadium. So I won't know when that does happen. I'm not sure exactly what's gonna happen to the stadium. We're gonna fly by it one more time and take a good look of Soldier Field. Chicago rests on a 234 square mile. Is the third largest city in the US with a population of 2.7 million. Look at the beautiful skyline here. I think Chicago has probably the best skyline in my opinion. You can see the Willis Tower, you can see the Aon, you can see the Trump, you can see the John Hancock. As you guys can see, the Ferris wheel in front of us, this one here is Navy Pier. A tourist attraction here at the Windy City. The pier is 3,300 feet long and 292 feet wide. Built on top of a 20,000 logs that was imported from Oregon. It was completed in 1916 and it cost 4.5 million. Now the Ferris wheel here you see, it has a height of 196 feet tall. It was a new Ferris wheel that was put in 2016. So the old Ferris wheel that was there is 150 feet. So this new Ferris wheel here is taller. And back on August of 1941, it was shut down to the public for Navy training. As we fly by one more time at Navy Pier. I honestly feel like this plane is too fast, so I should probably go with a slower plane. But this is the pier. During the summer, this is the hot spot right here. Now I'm gonna try to fly here without crashing. But below us is a river called the Chicago River. It is 156 miles long, and on St. Patrick's Day, the river is dyed in color green. The deepest part of the river is 21 feet. Back in 1885, there was a huge storm that polluted the river. And it wasn't until 1900 that they built a canal. The canal made the river flow from the inland to the outland. So in this case, from the Chicago River to Lake Michigan. But since with the storm and it was polluting Lake Michigan, what they did is, since with that canal, it kind of reversed it. So basically, really, the river flow from Lake Michigan to Chicago River. So it's flow inward. It is the only river to be flown that way. But of course, it was man-made, so that's why they're able to do that. Chicago is the second largest public transportation, providing more than 450 million buses and train rides. The city of Chicago is known as the United States Railroad Capitals, with major railroads serving the city that any other place in America. Let's just look at the view right here. Isn't it such a beautiful view out here? It's a nice weather. It's not stormy. Pretty clear skies, so we can see everything. New York has its own park called Central Park. Well, here in Chicago, we have our own park called the Millennium Park. Now, granted, it is not as big as Central Park, and it's fairly new. It's not as old. It was opened on July 16th, 2004, and originally the plan for the park was gonna be huge, but you know, it turned out to be smaller than what the original plan is, and that is the park, guys. We're flying over the park. The original name for it was going to be called Garden of Arts, but they decided Millennium Park sounds a lot better. And here it is. Lollapalooza held here every year. This is where events being held here. Millennium Park has this attraction here that people tend to go to see, which is called the Cloud Gate, aka the Bean. Can't really see the Bean here at night, and the plane is flying a lot faster than I would like, so I definitely picked the wrong plane for this tour here. But the Bean, as I was talking, it is a reflective structure here. I'm pretty sure you guys seen pictures of it. It was inspired by liquid mercury, and it gets washed daily. You can't see the Bean, and you can't really see the Bean here at night. That's very unfortunate. Power washed and cleaned daily, and 2 times a year it gets washed by 40 gallon of liquid detergent. I don't know why that is so popular, but to me, I mean, when you see it in person, it's, yeah, you can't see the Bean here. Unfortunately, it's too dark. We might crash here. I barely made it alive. Barely made it alive. As captain, I should not be saying that, but hey, that's okay. Have I ever let you guys down? Let's be honest. So the parking garage for the park is actually underground, and you see this little X behind us. We're gonna circle around and fly to it, but that is called the J. Pritzker Pavilion. It has a capacity of 11,000, and don't mind the water fountain here. It's not flowing. It just froze. It must be cold here right now, here in Chicago. But the pavilion here is a state-of-the-art system that is supposed to mimic indoor sound, acoustic sound here. We're gonna fly by it right here. This is the pavilion right here. You guys heard of the Great Fire that happened in Chicago? Well, the Great Fire that burned down the entire city took place on October 8th, 1887. People to this day does not exactly know what caused the fire, but what they do know that it took place in a barn southwest of the city, and the fire burned for more than 24 hours, killing over 300 people. And the rain is what put the fire out. So if it weren't for the rain, who knows how much more damages the city would, it would do to the city. But the fire burned more than 4 miles long and a mile wide, destroying 17,500 buildings and leaving 1/3 of the population homeless. Only 120 bodies were ever recovered. And then the rebuilding process happened. And now look at Chicago now. A beautiful city, but not a beautiful crime rate. And the nickname Windy City isn't because of due to how windy Chicago is, because really Chicago isn't really that windy. But the name Windy City came about is actually referring to a politician in Chicago. Hot air politician, that's what they call it. But there was an editorial that was put out that referred to the Windy City because of the politician. and there was supposed to be a Columbian exposition in the city, I guess an event back in 1893, and these politicians wanted the event to be held in Chicago instead of New York, and that's where the name Windy City came about. So it's not really because of Windy, guys, it's just because of the politician. I mean, let's be honest, the politician here in Chicago is kind of crooked, so it is what it is. The building with the red antenna, or should I say spiral, is the Trump International Hotel and Tower. It was completed in 2008 with 98 stories. It has 486 luxury condos and 339 hotels. The Trump International Tower has a height of 1,388 when you include a spiral, but the roof height itself, just the roof, is 1,171 feet. It is the second tallest building in Chicago, right behind the Willis Tower. And the building in front of us that looks like it kind of has that blue light, that is called St. Regis. It is a residential building, and it was completed in 2020. It is the third tallest building in Chicago, right behind the Willis Tower and the Trump. It has 101 stories with 393 condos and 192 rooms, hotel room. The roof height of this is 1,196. There was a millionaire that bought an entire floor, almost the top of the floor of this St. Regis. Well, knocked down the entire walls, and now they have a 360 view of the entire city, which costs millions of dollars. And the next skyscraper is the Aon Center, built between 1970 and 1974. It is the fourth tallest building in Chicago, and when you look at the structure of it, it has a very similar build to the original World Trade Center. Now, this building was the tallest building in the world without an antenna up until 2007, when it was surpassed by Shanghai World Financial Center in 2007. And looking at it, as you can kind of see the simulated build of the World Trade Center, just looking at it. I've heard that they might build like an observation deck on top, on the rooftop. I don't know if they're gonna go through with it, but no. When I was doing my research about this, that's what I read, that they might do an observatory on top of the roof. We're gonna fly by one more time here. Just barely graze the roof. That is the Aon Center. And besides the Willis Tower, John Hancock, aka 875 North Michigan, which is the official name, was the second tallest building in the world. It was the first skyscraper outside of New York to be over 1,000 feet. This building right here with the two antenna. The height of this bad boy is 1,128 feet. So the Aon Center is 8 feet taller than the John Hancock. Now, the official name of it is 875 North Michigan, but here we still call it John Hancock, you know. This one here was completed in 1969, and it was the tallest building in Chicago up until the Aon. And if you count the antennas, it is 1,500 feet. It has an observatory deck here called Chicago 360, and a restaurant called the Signature Room, which is very expensive. You know, you're paying basically for the view. It has 700 apartments, and typically, you know, people think John Hancock is the second tallest building in Chicago, but it is not. It is the fifth tallest. As we fly by to look at it. That, my friend, is 875 North Michigan. And last but not least, the Willis Tower. The two purple antennas you see in front of us. We here in Chicago still does not call it by its name, the Willis Tower. We still call it the Sears Tower. It was the tallest building in the world for 25 years, from 1973 to 1998. It took the title from the original World Trade Center. And as we're flying by, this, my friend, here is the Willis Tower. The height of this is 1,451 feet. And if we include the antenna, it is 1,730 feet. Currently, it is the third tallest building in the US and the tallest building in Chicago. The first tallest building in the US is the One World Trade Center because of the spiral, and the Central Park. And to think this was the tallest building in the world, to now being the 22nd tallest building in the world. So how far skyscraper has come along here. Look at that massive building. It is built in tubes, in 9 different tubes. The tower is 75 feet by 75 feet. So each of those tubes you see is 25 feet. It has 118 stories. When you look at the Willis Tower, you wouldn't know this, but the Willis Tower actually leans 4 inches to the west, which is that way. It is due to the foundation and the asymmetrical build, as you can see here. So it leans 4 inches to the west. You honestly won't really notice. I didn't know it until I did this research. And the Willis Tower has a sky deck. It has a glass box which is 3.5 inches thick, where you could stand in the box and look directly down. And you can see the box from here. We're gonna fly by, but is the top one, is those box right there. Those box right there. Those are the sky deck. Now in the past, the sky deck has cracked. No one has fallen yet, but you know, people say that, I mean, people say it cracked because some girl was wearing like high heels or something like that and it cracked. But I mean, even though it should not crack, you know, but it did crack. Still 3.5 inches thick the glass is. I'm sorry, the building could sway up to 6 inches on a super windy day. And that, my friend, is the Willis Tower here. And that concludes the end of this video. I'd like to give a big thanks to all the Platinum Premier Plus members for choosing Tang Airline. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and learned a thing or two about Chicago. And remember, Tang Airline lets your unqualified pilots take you places. I'll catch you guys on the next video. Signing out.